So, our question of the week. I think you and I have both been getting a different version of the same question this week. The question that I'm getting is Wilson football really that good?
Yeah.
And your question is Poly football really that bad?
Right.
So the question
I've been getting
is,
both of those questions quite a bit because a lot of people, even Poly people, are asking, can Wilson beat Poly this year?
Well, and Wilson people are asking, can we beat Poly this year? So,
and Poly people are asking, can we lose to Wilson this year? But yes, JJ and I have both gotten a chance. I got a chance to see Wilson's opener and obviously got to enjoy JJ's coverage of the San Jacinto win. I also got a chance to see Poly in person. JJ has been able to see the video of Poly. So we're the right people to ask this question too, I feel like.
I agree. Yeah.
And I would say the answer is Wilson is that good and Poly's not that bad.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I'd say that if we're going to start with Wilson,
it would start with the team that's 2-0.
Yeah. They definitely had what I would consider the best non-league win of the Mark Ziegenhagen era. Ziggy had been the defensive coordinator over there. He took over the program 4 years ago. They made their magical semifinal run a few years back. They actually went 3-0 that year, and if they win on Friday night at home against Huntington Beach, they'll be 3-0 for the second time in 4 years. So they are obviously excited at Wilson, as they should be. And like I said, that win against San Jacinto, the best non-league win I've seen for the Ziegenhagen era because they were a finalist in their division last year, and they've got a quarterback who's going to be playing on Saturdays when he ends up graduating. So it's very impressive. But then again, you look at it and you're like, it's 2 games. You should be winning. You've got a roster full of experienced varsity starters coming back.
They were also
ready to
more
get into
talented,
this season.
and they were more talented than that Mayfair team. I mean, I don't know if that would be the case if Mayfair had all their if they had their full line and Samaj Werner playing, but they should have beaten Mayfair the way that they did.
Yeah, I think it's fair to overreact and underreact to the Wilson situation right now.
Right.
If you are still a wait and see, I get it. And if you're like, this is the best football team we've had under Ziegenhagen, I get that too.
Yeah, I think they're the best team that I've seen them have under Ziggy. The team that went to the semifinals was good, but there's just a little bit different edge to this team. I think some of that comes from Ryan Petway maturing and clearly developing into a real leader on the field for that team. But I would say for Wilson, the best team Ziggy's had. I think I could get on board with that even at 2-0 already. They're ranked number 4 in their division, CIF Southern Section Division number 7. I think they belong in that top 4. They belong in the conversation about winning a championship in that division, and that's what the goal was for this year.
The most impressive thing about this team is that things really haven't gone well for them yet. They've given up a kickoff return for a touchdown in both of their victories.
Right.
So they've had the adversity, and they've been able to overcome it, and things were very weird in that San Jacinto game, and they just stayed the course and figured out a way to win. That's the sign of a good team. When things aren't going your way and you're still able to pull out the victory, that's the sign of a good team. So if you're looking for a good team piece of evidence, that's it. They still haven't played a good game yet. It's a great win over San Jacinto.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
But like a complete full game.
They hadn't put it together in that game. They're and I would say almost they were like not even really that close to putting it all together against San Jacinto. So if you can beat a team that like you said, defending finalists, a team that's 2 divisions higher than you, and you can do it without playing your best game, that for me is when I start getting interested in these other Moore League teams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Winning without playing a perfect game. That's something Milliken did the last 2 years.
Yep.
And if Wilson's sort of taken that mantle this year, then I think that's why we start getting excited about the playoffs and stuff.
Did Punahou play a perfect game against Poly on Saturday night in Moore Park?
Punahou played a pretty great game. But I think that any team playing their 5th game is with seniors is going to look a lot better than a team of sophomores and juniors playing their first game.
Yeah.
I did not expect them to look as much better as they did. And they looked a lot better.
Okay.
But it was one of those weird games. I mean, it's sort of the flip side of what you just said about Wilson with not panicking. Poly, through the end of the first quarter, it's 10-0. And it's 10-0 because of 2 Poly turnovers that turned into a field goal and a touchdown for Punahou. Then things fell apart in the second quarter. They gave up 4 touchdowns. The offense looked dreadful basically for the whole night. And then the second half, even with Punahou's starters in for the third quarter, it was 7-0. So
right.
Poly's defense especially, I don't think looked nearly as bad to me as the score indicated. The offense is a long ways away. I mean, a long ways away. And, I think that the mood I heard from a lot of Poly fans was, well, if they don't end up as one of the 8 teams in Division 1, then they can just win the Division 2 CIF championship. They're a long ways away right now on offense from winning a Division 2 CIF championship.
Yeah.
So, to me, it's a little bit of a take the film and throw it away because it's in that I don't
ever do that.
No, in that I don't think that there's necessarily a ton of lessons to learn about the team. It's like, it's a long from the game because it's a long road trip to play a really good, really fired up Hawaiian team that was itching to come beat up on. Like Poly beat a Hawaii team pretty good the last time they were on the island.
That's fair. That's fair. But when you so you wrote a great column in this week's Grunion Gazette. It'll also be available on the 562.org later this week about Poly and how this team could either end up being the 2009 team that lost more league games or the 2012 team that lost historically to Narbonne in the non-league and then went on to win the CIF championship.
And rolled right over them.
When that happened, you and I were talking about how Brett Perez and the offensive line and the offensive coaches used the film from Narbonne to use individual technique to improve the overall team. And then when they got into the playoffs, he was able to take those techniques and basically reconfigure their running attack every week to go and beat the best teams in Southern California. Don't you think that a game like Punahou, for a team full of sophomores and juniors, you can spotlight guys and be like, do you see why you did this wrong? Do you see why that turned into a blocked punt?
No, I'm not.
I feel like the individual improvements for this team is more important for the team's growth than the team's growth in general.
No.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think you're misunderstanding my point a little bit. I'm not saying throw the film away as in don't actually review the film. I'm saying for me as a writer trying to evaluate how good the team is, I don't think that game is necessarily that instructive just because there's so many oddball things about it. Now, the Los Al game, I think, is like, I'm going to have a pretty good idea of who that team is by the end of their Friday night game against Los Al, in my opinion.
We're going to have a pretty good idea of both Wilson and Poly, and that's why I brought up this question of the week, because we're getting it because both teams
October
are going to be
4th.
at home.
Yeah,
they're going to be at
for
home.
sure. And they're going to be
and then they're going to play each other.
They're going to be in the city on the same field on October 4th, which is a game that I know everyone is already very excited
It's
for.
a lot closer than we think it is, man. A lot closer than we think it is.